Greetings, greetings, greetings. Happy Monday and welcome back to another episode of the RAD podcast. Man, how you feeling this Monday?
Man, I'm good, bro. Good. This is the last episode, man. It's crazy that we have um we have actually completed an entire year under our new name. You know what I mean? It seemed like yesterday, man. We were just trying to figure out, what the hell we're going to do, right?
Right, right. Well, nevertheless, again, for those who don't know or just new to the podcast, I'm Larry Jefferson. I'm one half of this dynamic team.
Where you from, bro?
Man, you
Represent
know
your
I'm
hood.
from the D-town, Dallas, Texas. You know it.
Hey, Dantrayl Smith, the other half of this great dynamic duo podcast, representing Memphis, Tennessee. Super glad to be here with everybody. And yeah, man, I'm just really looking forward to the conversation that we'll have today. Hopefully get some good feedback from some individuals about ways that, we can improve shows that they may want to see and just kind of hearing what they've learned from this semester, man.
Yeah, I was talking to a young lady at the event that I spoke at the South Campus, and she was like, "Whatever y'all do, keep it going. Do not stop. We need more topics like this." And I was happy to see that she didn't look like me or
Mm,
Brown. That said this,
right.
um, and that says a lot. And it honestly made me feel like, okay, we're not preaching to the choir.
Man, I'm still trying to figure out though, like, why does everybody always come up to you, man? You must got a more friendlier face than I do, right?
I ain't heard that one before.
Because
Oh,
nobody's ever came up to me and be like, "Man, I love the podcast. Y'all
really?
should keep it
Ever?
going." Nah, man. Now I've had people come up to me and be like, "Hey, that was a really good show last night."
Okay.
Uh, but that's really about it, man. I've never had
Yeah.
anybody just run to me.
I was in HEB one night. My wife and I went shopping, and I had the shirt on, and the butcher was saying, like, "Hey, what does your shirt say?" And so I showed him. He was like, "Oh wow, can I listen to it?" So I gave him all the information and all that. He was like, "Do y'all do this every week?" And I said, "Yeah, man. Follow us on Instagram. Here's the
Yeah,
YouTube and all that kind of stuff." And he didn't look like us. He wasn't a person of color, and it shocked me of his interest of wanting to hear topics about. He said, "Do y'all talk about these topics all the time?" I was like, "Oh, every week, every week." And I said, "Okay, that's good." So now when I go work out, I wear my Rad podcast shirt, and people say, "Oh man, I like your shirt." Like, okay, your shirt kind of cool. But I said, I'm every time I get a chance that I'm going to publicize. If I'm just whether I'm going to Walmart or while I'm going to work out, I'm only place I don't wear is to work.
right. Facts. Yeah, I'm actually this Wednesday volunteering at the Fort Worth Library. They have their annual fundraiser, and it's kind of a business casual event. So I'm gonna wear my Rad podcast shirt, man, to volunteer in. So
Okay.
yeah, it's supposed to be a pretty big event. So I'm looking forward to
You
seeing how
said
that's gonna
Fort
do.
Library.
Yeah, so the Fort Worth Library, they do an annual fundraiser every year, and so they have these big time people come in and man, it was just a volunteer opportunity that somebody had. One of my students came by my office and was like, "Hey, you want to volunteer for this event?" And I was like, "Yeah, most definitely, man. I love to volunteer. Anytime to give back, but also a way, man, to really kind of connect with the community." So
Yeah. So I mean, thinking back, you say this is our. I mean, shoots. We ain't done what 4 seasons now.
yep, we've been together for
Sometimes,
four. we've been together for 4 seasons, but really, I mean, just 2 seasons for under the new name. But yeah,
Right.
man, we've been rocking this podcast deal for a while.
Of this episode, which would you say was your favorite?
Oh man. Um,
Your favorite and why? Why was it your favorite?
I'll start with honestly, um, I have two. The first one that we did, we talked about the divisive tools that divide our country. I thought that was really good because one, it really set the precedence for what we were wanting to talk about for the
Mhm.
semester. I thought the two panelists were very on point when it came to helping us understand um, what it is that we really needed to focus on about change and really understanding the things within ourselves and the way we approach stuff, right? Because Dr. Conway talked about social media and how, we just run right to the comments, right? And so allowing those comments to kind of feed our spirit in the way that we approach certain situations, the way that we kind of look at certain things. And so because of all of that, man, I just really like that episode. So that was one. And then also the comment, we had the white gentleman that came on and asked the question and really got some enlightenment, right? So I think that started us off um really, really good. And then I would say probably the second one that I really enjoyed was the uh I'm going in between two, but I'm a roll with the judicial system, man, because I learned a lot from that particular episode,
Heard
right?
a lot.
Because when Dr. Sabir, Daniel Keelan, man, they were talking about the prison system, and they also talked about like how our young teens are being tried as adults. I had no clue to the level that certain states, um, were trying these kids as adults, but then also,
Mhm.
man, just some of the rules and regulations across states when it came to sentence people to life in prison and all of that, man. Like my mind was blown away. Like I could sit there and just listen for another hour.
Yeah, that
What about you
was.
though?
Um, Unconscious biases in the workplace.
Mm,
I thought both gentlemen really articulated themselves very well,
yeah.
and really, really broke down some things that you'd be like, "Oh man, I ain't even noticed that," or "I ain't never really paid attention to that." I thought that was, and then it also made me think about, are there some biases that I hold that I ain't even think about, but I have them there, and then when I say that, I carry over to um, multi-generational generation in the workplace.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was really impacting me. Uh, but what's funny is I wrote a paper about, I guess, about 2 weeks later over the same topic, and it changed my whole mindset of what it looks like to have a multi generational work team, and the struggles that could happen of it, because most of the time people think about prejudice towards those that are aging, but they don't talk about the younger groups that people are looking at and be like, oh, these young people don't know nothing. Oh, these young people don't want to work hard. And so where you think it is only prejudices towards the seasoned veterans, there's also prejudices against the newcomers that come into the workforce. So it gave me a different perspective on it.
Not only that though, man, I learned what was the new term, Zoomers or something like that.
Zoomers. Yeah.
I was like, Zoomers, what the hell is Zoomers? Okay,
I never
but
heard of it. You know, it was like,
right.
okay.
Yeah, me either, man. But I agree with I think we've had some real exciting and just kind of free flowing conversation. That was a fun episode that we did. I felt like everybody was just flowing off of each other, right?
Right.
And we really got a chance to see and understand how different generations perceive work life balance, right? Like you see more of the younger generation saying, "Hey, I'm going to take this time off." Like and don't be upset when I do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because my mental state is important to me. Whereas we have the older generation that was like, we got to work, we got to work, we got to work, we got to continue to prove ourselves to get to where we want to be to make a certain amount where it's like, hey, yeah, I want to make a lot of money, but at the same time, I'm not going to jeopardize who I am and what I really want to get there. And so I appreciated that, man. I appreciate the honesty that we received from both individuals, and it was just a really, really good conversation, man.
Yeah, but and you know what? I would also say our episode last week was probably my funnest episode
Yeah, yeah,
because we try to keep it as real as possible, but professional at the same time. And I felt like they did it, but they did it to the T.
yeah.
Um, and they were so on point talking about mental health, talking about finances, and then the relation of both of them. I really enjoyed that episode. After I got off, I just kind of sat back and laughed. It was like, you know, man, that was real. And that's all I could
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, it was funny because I talked to my cousin afterwards, like maybe an hour after the show, and
Mm.
and she was just telling me, she was like, "Man, I really love what you and Larry got. Like y'all got something that's really special, and I think that you all are doing some phenomenal work." But because she said it felt like a conversation in the house, like we were just sitting around the house having a drink and
Right.
just talking about very important topics that relate to people that look like us. And she was just like, man, like to have a show to where when your people come on your show, it's just this, like I'm sitting on the couch and we just at the house having this great conversation, but it's at a high level, high level of intellect. She's like, it's hard to find that. So I told her, we appreciated that feedback from her, and hopefully can continue to move the torch forward, man.
Yeah, yeah. I had already started thinking like, what can we do for the next season that it just I said, I
Yeah,
really wanted to do something um that is taboo that people won't talk about. They'll probably get us in more trouble that we're already in, but talk
right,
about
right.
it. And so I'm still thinking about that. But you that's what you specialize in. That's your
Yeah, I got a
super.
couple of I got a couple of ideas, man, and some things. I won't give it away just yet because I want our listeners to be surprised. But definitely when we meet, in a couple of weeks to kind of start ironing out the details for the semester and how we're going to switch it up on folks, man. I think it's going to be pretty good, man. What was the episode, man, that you were like, we could have did a little bit better, or like, man, maybe I already kind of knew most of the information that was really shared.
Um, hmm, let me look back at them. I think. Ugh,
So
um,
one of the things. Oh, go ahead.
no, I'm gonna let you answer that one first.
Because one of the episodes, man, we talked about the building a legacy, um, the minority-owned business. Like I felt like that was probably not our strongest episode. Um, um, But you know, man, you but you know, I thought it was good, right? I thought the intent was there. I thought the information that was shared at certain points was really good, but I didn't really feel like that was probably our strongest and best material put out there for our listeners. But you know, like I said, lessons learned. We why you laughing, bro?
I'm laughing because, and I know I'm gonna put on blast, but my wife and I, we have an outstanding relationship, and we keep it 100 with each other. And she texted me during the podcast, and she was like, "Come on, y'all got to manage this a little bit better, man." and I
I know,
and
man.
I couldn't laugh on the screen right then. I said, "We trying, like we trying,"
I
but
know, man.
I would have to, I would definitely have to agree with you. But you know, I always feel like everything's a learning lesson,
Right.
and I learned from that about more so managing the conversation better, where it still sounds and looks authentic and genuine, but not allowing it to go in a whole different way or monopolize where only one person is dominating the conversation. And I felt like, and I agree with you, we just didn't do that well. But it shows that you know we assess well because we're having this conversation about it.
Yeah, no, and it was good, man. I mean, like I said, all episodes that we did were very well intended. Um, I just don't think that was probably our best episode. And like you said, we had to, you know, do a better job of really managing the conversation to make sure that our listeners are getting everything that they need. So, um, what was one thing? And before we go to the audience, man, what was one thing that really stood out to you that you were like, wow, I didn't know that, maybe inspired you to want to go and learn more about or read more about? What was that one
I
thing for
think
you?
honestly, when we had the conversation with Judge Vunda now and Mark Clayton, lawyer attorney Mark Clayton, I feel like the knowledge they dropped on us about voting and so much about voting was powerful to me because you know for the most part I grew up with that mentality. I know at least through my from the time I could vote to maybe my late 20s that it don't matter who I vote for. It's not going to affect me. It's not going to impact me. Blah blah blah. And until our last, well, when Obama ran, I really started trying to learn more about the candidates and not just go in and just vote all Democrat because not all of them are worth you know what they say they are anyway. But having that voter suppression conversation last season and then coming back with this season and the realness that both individuals were able to drop for our audience played played just as much as a big part in the way I seen things and my perspective on things. So voter suppression was very enlightening for me.
Um, no, I agree with you. I think that was a phenomenal episode. Definitely one that has challenged my mind to think more intentional about who I vote for, right? Versus just saying, oh, because the candidate may, you know, look like me, that they are going to have my best interest, right? But to actually go and figure out exactly what they really stand on, what they stand on, particularly when it comes to education. Um, I'm able to read and do research about them and know exactly where to go, right? Because I think that's one of the takeaways I took from last season
Yeah.
was where to go to actually find the information about each candidate. And so now more intentionality. One of the episodes that I really enjoyed was probably our highest volume episode, where we had over 75 people, man, was the dealing with diversity backlash. Um, and you and I both aspire to move up higher in the realm of education, and I think being more intentional about the support, when we get to those certain levels, to be more intentional about the support that offices need, to really address the concerns of not only faculty, staff of color, but even the students, right? And so kind of creating those safe spaces where dialogues and conversations can take place. And then not only that though, man, but just being able to put the right people in the right places. And I think that, we talk about DEI, we talk about how we, want to create these atmospheres, but being really strategic on who we put in certain areas. And they just kind of open my mind up of how, you really look at the overall scheme when it comes to DEI and how we really try to make it better. So with that being said, let's open the floor up to some of our listeners, and this is an opportunity for you all to come on and share some of your takeaways, favorite episode, lessons learned from this season's podcast. And so the floor is open.
Yeah, if you don't speak, we'll start calling our names. Let me open my chat so I can see. Okay. Okay. Taisha.
Hi. So my name is Aisha Brown. My brother is Larry. And I must say, like, I absolutely love the podcast. I love like the variety of topics that you guys speak on, but one in particular really kind of stood out to me, which was the very last one you had in regards to like mental health and mental awareness, and the importance and how imperative it is to take the same approach you would take with your physical health, that you should be taking with your mental health. And so the two young ladies that came on, I just felt like it was just a wealth of knowledge, like the information that they provided, and even like I believe one of the young women provided an organization
Mhm.
that like allows you to be able to like maneuver through the system successfully. So I just thought that that particular piece was like an excellent not that the other ones aren't, but that one in particular like stood out to me this season. So I just wanted to give you guys accolades on that.
A quick question though. Would is that something that you would say we should bring back, and maybe hearing it from a different voice or a different component of mental health?
I just think now, especially with everything that has transpired within like the last almost 2.5 years, so much has shifted. And like so many lives have been impacted, whether it's like a direct impact or indirectly impacted. So I think that bringing awareness to mental health is so important. And even with seeing like the young ladies that the young lady that committed suicide, and you think everyone, there's like a depiction that everyone has like this perfect life and everything is good, and then something traumatic like that happens. And so I think it's just very important to be aware and and abreast of what's going on, and just checking in with your family members and your friends and be like, hey, like, you good, you know even if there aren't any signs, but just check in with them. So I think that would be like a really good episode to bring back for like your next season.
Okay. Appreciate
So
that.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. Who we got next, bro?
Miss Twana Jefferson.
Hello, audience, and hello, Mr. Dantrayl and Mr. Larry Jefferson. I
Mama
would like
Jefferson, what's going on?
nothing much. It's, y'all got it. You got it. You and you young men, y'all got it. Just let me say this. I want to add to what my daughter said regarding mental health. I think that was just so excellent. And it impacts people from all walks of life, all ages, be it 5 years old or 95 years old. And I think the young ladies were just so open and transparent and down to earth. And so I would say, yes, bring that back. And I just wish we could get a larger variety of an audience, regarding the ages, because some people just do not know what's going on. That could be somebody sitting right next to them or living in the same house. They don't know, and I just think it's that those young ladies laid it on the table and were straight. Mental health is an issue. Everybody may not want to accept it, or even your family members may say, "Oh, no, no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to go to the doctor, whatever." But yes, bring that. Just really bring that one back. I just think it was just so imperative that the audience hear it, and I loved it. And the other thing, I'm gonna get off quick so somebody else can say something. The other thing is, I loved that episode I had with the three. I think it was three women on racism. Man, that hit me, but it's because of the era I grew up in. But I think everybody needs to be made aware of that about racism, because it's still real and it exists. So
Which
that's
topic?
all I have to say.
Which topic did you said the race? Which
There were three. Actually, I don't know, were they biracial?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
from last
Oh,
yeah.
that
season,
was
from last
last.
Yeah.
season.
Oh, you
Well,
talking about from
whenever it
last
was,
season?
I just thought that was an excellent topic. It was Bible, and it still it does exist. It still exists. So,
Okay.
but I just thought that was good. I love that episode, and I love the knowledge of wealth those young women had, and that they shared with the audience.
Thank you.
Okay,
I appreciate that.
you're welcome.
Hello,
Oh,
this
who
is
that?
Gaia Jefferson. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We
Yes,
can hear you.
ma'am.
Okay. I loved all of the episodes. Of course, the one that Taisha and my mother-in-law are talking about are definitely my favorites. One that I'd love for you all to consider would be um, kind of marrying the one that I think it was Dr. Jonathan and the other doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
I think it was the unconscious bias,
yep.
Mm-hmm.
and then the diversity in the workplace, but through an HR lens or a communication lens, because they are hiring those people, and a lot of times they are recruiting, and so it doesn't matter what organization you are in, that like how you communicate that to potential candidates to come and serve in your organization is important. So I'd love to like hear that part of it. And then also for the people who know what, EDI is, how to not silence your voice, but still be received as a leader in their work. Because we can be champions of the work and be out there on our own with everybody else behind us, and it just be our voice. But in order for our voices to be amplified, we have to like bring people on board so that they can understand it. So I don't know if this could also be another piece, but um, having conversation starters, like I'd love for us to have like play a little bit of the podcast and then connect with family and friends to talk more about it. So you are bringing action to the learning that you're getting from the podcast. So those are just my little nuggets of what
Almost
I'd
like an
love to
icebreaker.
hear. Huh?
Like almost like an icebreaker.
Yes, like an icebreaker, but sometimes people dialogue and they gossip about reality TV. There's really no need to do that when you can play this podcast and use that as a conversation starter. If you don't have the words, then you guys have provided the words with the expert panelists that you have. So, and then that would also increase the number of followers for the different platforms. But I'd love to hear from somebody in HR who does recruiting, or even somebody in the communications department, as to how you still lift up EDI or unconscious bias, but you're not perceived as a derailer of the work.
Mm.
Mm.
Wow, that's huge. I love that. That's real good. Yeah, we'll have to examine that one. Particularly, man, I like the lens, right? So looking through the communication lens of unconscious bias, because really trying to understand how do we communicate effectively so that it doesn't come off as we're the angry black man, right, or the angry black woman, or whomever, right, in certain situations. But being able to speak the language that's needed in order to move the conversation forward in a positive way. So yeah, we can definitely do that, man. And man, I see you got your whole family on here, man. Let me give a shout out to my mom. She finally joined. My wife on here. You know what I'm saying? I got backup too, bruh. Who we got next?
Okay, well, okay, let me go ahead and go next. This is Demetra. I would like to see back the one about education. Um, and then perhaps in addition to, I believe it was a principal or assistant principal, maybe bring on some parents too with children in the K-12 system to have like a dialogue. Because as I was listening to it, I was wondering now, it seems as though the role of the teacher has really evolved. And I'm questioning if there are some unrealistic expectations when it comes to managing these behavior problems, and how that's impacting how the teacher is able to really teach children. Do you know? Because now, well, growing up, it was an outlier. If you had a behavior problem, you were an outlier. But now it seems to be more common. And the teacher is expected to manage that in addition to teach. So I would like to hear the teacher's perspective and how the teacher views the role of the parent in all of it. And so maybe just a dialogue or a conversation among all the interested parties and what they have to say and how that translates into how both the teachers, principals, and parents can come together to create a more inclusive, productive environment for students.
We have to bring back corporal punishment.
Yeah.
I like it though. I appreciate it, Dr. Smith.
Cool.
Yeah,
Hey,
drop the mic.
can you guys hear me?
We can.
Okay, so I enjoyed the one about mental health as well, because me myself, I do struggle with mental health, and I really like that one. Also, the one about unbiased in the workplace, how the different, what am I trying to say? Like how the different generations on the workplace can like come together and work, because me myself, I have like got a position and they'll ask me a question like, hey, what's your Excel knowledge? And I'll say like a 5 or a 6, and then they'll have me on there doing formulas, you know. And so I'm like, uh I like that dialogue as well. So you could bring that one back as well about the workplace.
Thank you.
Man, it sounds we picked some pretty good topics this semester, man.
That's what it sounds like.
Hmm.
Anybody else?
Man, I know my mom gonna come over here and say something.
Hi, this is Mrs. Smith. um, I enjoyed the topic in regard to the justice system, but before I say that, I want to say that I really agree with the Gaia J about her topic as far as getting um, individuals involved in the conversation, because sometimes you I said, "Talk, I want to say this, I want to say that." But by the time it comes time to say something, then that thought is gone, and something else has come about. But I think that you all are doing a fantastic job. It's good to put information out there for everyone to learn, and information is so fluent these days. But yet still, there is a drawback to it. But the more you put out, the more people become knowledgeable. Um, and the justice system is real, and from what I see it, especially in the area where I am, in the South, is a money making thing. Uh, but I enjoyed that, and I enjoy learning from the different ones that talk.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I seen Cal was unmuted. Was Cal, were you about to say anything?
Oh, that was Cal.
That's my mom.
Oh, I thought that was Cal the fourth.
Oh, nah. I won't say my mom's government name on here.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right. Well, before I dive into the quote, bro, one question that I have for you is, what thing would you like to see changed or implemented differently in the podcast show? Like, what would you, if you had to say, I want to bring one new flavor or one new crazy idea to the show, what would it be?
Us doing it in person.
I like that.
Doing it in person, bringing a person there. A year ago, we was asked that question. Remember?
Yeah.
And we both came together. It was like, man, we don't know if we're ready for that.
Right.
I think we're ready for it.
Yeah.
Doing it in person, um, and just really allowing individuals to come join us in that space, but also still have it available virtually, opens up, I think, more opportunities for individuals to hear. And we catch those individuals that walk by and say, hey, what are they talking about? What is this about? And we get the sporadic people that kind of join in. So if I could choose one thing, it would be bringing these mics, bringing my mic out the desk if I was at work, and
Right.
just doing it in person. What about
Man,
you?
that would be cool though, man. Like actually doing it like maybe on college campuses, right? Like going and visit different campuses and just posting up in the middle of the yard and just having these conversations. I mean, it kind of brings back that whole level of consciousness of what college really is about, right? Versus just trying to learn a system that really isn't meant for us, but taking the knowledge that they need to know, man, and just sharing it, man. Like that would
But not
be
only
that would
not even just a college campus. So if we're doing it about
yeah.
like juvenile justice, let's go to the justice center. Uh,
Yeah.
or just opening it up. If we're in the community, let's go somewhere that the community will see us. I mean, people are always walking at the park.
Right.
I think taking the show on the road will open up a lot of doors. We just have to have
Yeah.
the right equipment for it, just in case.
Right.
Texas, it'll be raining one day.
I
Hey,
know.
20 minutes
Yeah.
later. But I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then I believe it'll let individuals really see our personalities even more.
Hmm.
And then people can come up to you and think you're nice.
Right. I mean, I don't get that, man. One of the things, man, is I want to have a better what's the word I'm looking for, but really just kind of have some better takeaways for our audience. Like to maybe ask our guests to showcase either if they got books coming out or they have books or whatever it is that they read within their profession that can really jumpstart or help our listeners. Because think they give out so much information and they share certain things and people can connect with them, right? We allow them to connect with their social media, email, stuff like that. But to really bring something tangible so our audience walks away and says, oh, I'm gonna go get this book today because I heard on this
Yeah.
podcast that it can help me reach my financial freedom or my mental health and so forth and so on. And so um looking to try to maybe add that, figuring out how we can plug that in some type of way. Because I want people to grow, right? And learn. It's really what it's all about. So
And that may mean like we cut back on some of our questions
yeah.
and allow them to share those resources. Therefore, they're there, and it's not rushed where somebody have to come back and be like, "Hey, what resource did they say?" And if it's already there, then simple as yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. So I got a quote from you from the great Dr. Cornel West on his Race Matters. He says, to be a jazz freedom fighter is to attempt to galvanize and energize world weary people into forms of organization with accountable leadership that promote critical exchange and broad reflection. The interplay of individuality and unity is not one of uniformity and unanimity imposed from above, but rather of conflict among diverse groupings that reach a dynamic consensus subject to questioning and criticism. As with a soloist in a jazz quartet or quintet or band, individuality is promoted in order to sustain and increase the creative tension with the group. Attention that yields higher levels of performance to achieve the aim of the collective project. This kind of critical and democratic sensibility flies in the face of any policing of borders, boundaries of blackness, maleness, femaleness, or whiteness. Race matters. Dr.
Love
Cornel
it,
West.
love it, man. Once again, I want to say, man, thank you for like everything you've done for this podcast. Thank you for the partnership. Um, in a million years, I wouldn't have thought I would have been doing this. So thank you for pushing me out my comfort zone. And I say that to say, for everybody that's been listening to us, I hope we've inspired you to do something that will push you out of your comfort zone. Anthony Hamilton has a song, and in the song he says, you have to get off the porch. I don't know what your porch is, but take that step off. But thank you, Dantrayl. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Most definitely, man. I don't even know how to come back from that, man. What you just
See,
said is just
tell everybody bye.
I mean, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it. I can't add nothing to that, man. So, hey, man, I love you, bro. You my brother, man,
Oh yeah, no.
man, look forward to next semester with you, man. And so we'll get up.
All right. Have a good one, everyone.